Welcome to Context Window, your weekly look at the bleeding edge of AI coding tools. Let's see what's new. So imagine an AI that doesn't just wait for your command, but proactively starts debugging your code, reviewing pull requests, or even generating a Jira ticket based on a Slack conversation, all while you're grabbing coffee.
That's precisely what Cursor's new automations are promising. It's a shift from an AI assistant that waits for your prompt to an always-on autonomous colleague that works 24/7 in the background. It's a bold play.
And it raises some pretty fundamental questions about the future of coding, the role of human developers, and frankly, how much we're willing to trust these self-driving codebases.
Absolutely. But before we deep dive into Cursor's Gambit, let's get everyone caught up with our news roundup.
First up, OpenAI is making a major play to standardize agentic workflows. On March 26th, they rolled out a plugin system for Codex. What does that mean in practice?
It's essentially allowing teams to package and share entire workflows, think skills, app integrations, server configurations, into reusable bundles. Instead of every new developer getting a massive setup doc, they can just install a shared plugin.
So the big why it matters here is enterprise governance. OpenAI is giving IT admins a way to standardize and distribute how their AI agents behave at scale. The sharp take, while GitHub and others have focused on permissions and guardrails, OpenAI is trying to formalize the execution patterns of AI agents, which is a much deeper level of control.
Next, Anthropic is dealing with some growing pains. In late March, users of Claude Code began reporting major issues with their usage limits, burning through monthly allotments in a matter of hours for simple tasks.
That sounds expensive. What happened?
Users on forums described their 5-hour session limits evaporating after just 1 or 2 prompts, even for basic CRUD operations. Anthropic acknowledged the issue, stating they're adjusting session limits during peak times to manage growing demand. But many users feel the service has become unreliable.
Why it matters is trust and predictability. For professional developers relying on these tools, unpredictable billing and availability are deal breakers. The sharp take here is that as these models become more powerful and agentic, the computational cost is becoming a serious friction point. Anthropic is walking a tightrope between performance and affordability, and right now it's wobbling.
Over at Google, the Gemini family continues to expand at a rapid pace. They recently released Gemini 3.1 Flash Live Preview, a new model designed specifically for real-time, voice-first AI applications.
And for developers?
The bigger news is the continued push into more complex agentic workflows. They recently enabled the combination of built-in tools like Google Search and Maps with custom function calling in a single API request. This simplifies the orchestration of complex tasks, a key bottleneck as agentic systems scale.
So this is about making it easier for developers to build more sophisticated agents without having to manage every single step of the process. The sharp take: Google is leveraging its massive ecosystem of services as a key differentiator, turning tools like Maps into native capabilities for its AI agents, something competitors can't easily replicate.
And finally, a quick hit on the rest of the field. GitHub Copilot is leaning heavily into the agentic branding, particularly with its CLI tool that can now map a project structure, install dependencies, and explain how things connect with minimal prompting.
And what about the upstarts?
Windsurf, an AI-first IDE, made a bold move late last year by giving all users 3 months of free access to their top-tier SWE 1.5 model and introducing parallel agent execution. You can literally have multiple AI agents working on different branches of your codebase simultaneously in a multi-pane view. This is a direct shot at the idea of a single monolithic AI assistant.
A very brisk scan of a very busy landscape. Now, let's turn to Cursor's big bet on always-on AI.
So on March 25th, 2026, Cursor, the AI native code editor, updated its changelog, but the implications were anything but small. They officially announced 2 major features: automations and self-hosted cloud agents.
This wasn't just another feature drop, was it? It really felt like a declaration of intent. Cursor is explicitly framing this as the next evolutionary step in AI-assisted coding, moving beyond the now familiar paradigms of autocomplete and interactive chat.
Exactly. The core idea is to transform the AI from a reactive assistant, one that waits for a developer's prompt, into a proactive and autonomous contributor that works in the background 24/7.
So let's break down automations. How do they actually work?
Automations are essentially AI agents that can be triggered by external events. Instead of a developer manually initiating a task, these agents spring to life based on predefined triggers from common development and communication tools.
Give me some examples of those triggers.
We're talking GitHub events, a new pull request, a commit pushed, an issue created. Slack messages with specific keywords can kick off a workflow. PagerDuty incidents can trigger an agent to start an investigation immediately. They can also run on a cron-like schedule for routine maintenance, or through a generic webhook for virtually any other tool.
And once triggered, what happens?
According to Cursor, the agent spins up in a cloud sandbox and begins executing a set of instructions defined by the user. These agents have access to a terminal, a browser, and a full virtual desktop environment. It's designed to mimic a human developer's workflow. The company reports they're already processing hundreds of automations per hour.
That's a lot. What's Cursor's stated rationale for this move? What problem are they trying to solve?
They're addressing a growing imbalance in the software development lifecycle. While AI tools have dramatically accelerated the rate of code production, the surrounding processes, code review, testing, maintenance, incident response, haven't kept pace.
So developers can write code faster than ever, but the systems for managing and validating that code are still largely manual, creating a bottleneck.
Precisely. Cursor's bet is that these always-on agents can automate away this friction, creating a more balanced and efficient development pipeline. It's an ambitious vision.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, but the central question for any new technology is whether it solves a real problem or is simply a clever solution in search of one. Cursor has been quick to highlight several internal and customer use cases. What are they?
The most prominent example is automated code review. An agent can be configured to automatically conduct a security and style review on every new pull request. It checks for vulnerabilities, ensures adherence to coding standards, and can even classify the PR's risk level.
That could save a ton of developer time. What else?
Incident response. When a PagerDuty alert triggers, an agent can immediately start an investigation. This could involve parsing logs, checking recent deployments, and even formulating a hypothesis about the root cause, presenting it to the on-call engineer moments after the alert fires.
That's a huge reduction in time to context for an engineer waking up at 3 a.m.
Absolutely. And then there's cross-tool workflow automation. Integrations with Slack and Jira open up possibilities beyond just the codebase. For example, a discussion in a Slack channel about a bug could trigger an agent to automatically generate a detailed Jira ticket, complete with a summary of the conversation and links to relevant code.
Those are compelling examples. But what's the reality check here? How well do these things actually work in practice?
That's the crucial part. A report from Snike, for instance, noted that Cursor's own internal security review agent does not automatically push fixes to the codebase. Instead, it proposes changes and leaves the final decision to a human developer.
That's a small detail that speaks volumes, though. It implies a certain level of distrust and full autonomy.
Exactly. The risk of an agent helpfully introducing a breaking change or a new vulnerability is still too high for most organizations to allow fully unsupervised commits to a production branch. Similarly, early reports from developers using these agentic tools highlight a recurring theme. They are powerful, but not yet entirely predictable.
Not entirely predictable is a nice way of saying they can still do weird things, right?
Pretty much. Andrew Larson, a developer who detailed his lessons learned from using Cursor agents in a Medium post, notes that agents can still do weird things and are not yet reliable for complex tasks like writing high-quality tests without being forced or heavily guided.
So we're in a transitional phase. The truly fire-and-forget autonomous agent is still on the horizon. For now, the most valuable applications appear to be those that augment human workflows rather than completely replacing them.
That's the takeaway. The agent acts as a first responder, or an initial drafter, handling the repetitive, information-gathering parts of a task, which allows the human developer to focus on higher-level strategy and final decision-making. The value is in reducing the time to context for a human, not eliminating the human entirely.
Alongside these cloud-based automations, Cursor made another strategically critical move by launching self-hosted cloud agents. This feels like a direct response to a very specific set of fears, doesn't it?
It's a direct and decisive answer to the single biggest barrier to enterprise adoption of AI coding agents: security and data privacy. For any organization, especially those in highly regulated industries like finance, healthcare, and government, the idea of proprietary source code being processed on a third-party servers is a non-starter.
So this self-hosted feature allows an enterprise to run Cursor's autonomous agents entirely within its own network infrastructure.
Exactly. All code, data, and execution remain behind the corporate firewall, while Cursor's cloud service acts purely as an orchestrator, sending instructions to the on-premise agents.
How does that work from a technical standpoint to ensure security?
The architecture is quite clever. A worker process is installed within the enterprise's environment. This worker makes an outbound connection to Cursor's cloud to receive instructions. This is a crucial design choice because it avoids the need for the enterprise to open any inbound ports in their firewall, which would be a significant security risk. The agent then executes its tasks, cloning repositories, accessing internal databases, running build tools within an isolated virtual environment on the company's own servers.
That sounds like it effectively neutralizes the primary security objection. So this isn't just a feature, it's a key to unlocking the lucrative enterprise market.
Absolutely. By doing this, Cursor is positioning itself as enterprise-ready. They're already citing companies like Brex, Notion, and Money Forward as users, which indicates this strategy is resonating with security-conscious tech companies.
And this puts immense pressure on competitors. GitHub Copilot has enterprise offerings, but the deep, autonomous integration with internal systems that Cursor is enabling with self-hosted agents feels like a new frontier.
It forces the question, can a cloud-only AI provider ever truly satisfy the security demands of the world's largest and most regulated companies? Cursor is betting the answer is no, and that a hybrid, self-hosted model is the only viable path forward for true enterprise-scale agentic AI. This concession to enterprise fears may well be the Trojan horse that allows them to capture a market that has, until now, been cautiously watching from the sidelines.
But giving an autonomous AI agent the keys to a production environment introduces a profound and entirely new class of security risks, even with self-hosting. We're talking about the rogue agent problem.
You're right. The very nature of these agents, their ability to act independently, learn, and change their behavior, makes them fundamentally different from traditional deterministic software. This creates what can be described as a cloud sandbox standoff, where the potential for productivity gains is in direct tension with the risk of catastrophic failure.
The rogue agent problem. That sounds straight out of science fiction, but it's very real. This isn't necessarily about malicious actors, is it?
Not always. More immediately, the risk comes from an agent that, in its attempts to be helpful, causes unintentional damage. Examples logged internally at Anthropic include an agent deleting remote Git branches after misinterpreting an instruction, and another attempting data migrations against a production database. An agent could inadvertently delete critical data, introduce a subtle but severe security vulnerability, or bring down a production service while trying to fix a perceived problem.
That's terrifying. This new paradigm requires a fundamental shift in security thinking. We can't just focus on protecting static code or running applications anymore.
Exactly. As a CIO article on the topic warns, security teams must now monitor and govern autonomous systems that are constantly interacting with and modifying the production environment. Gartner predicts that by 2028, a staggering 25% of enterprise breaches will be directly linked to the abuse of AI agents. That's a pretty stark warning.
So what are the mitigation strategies? How do we build guardrails for these things?
Security experts advocate for treating AI agents like new junior-level employees. This means rigorously applying the principle of least privilege, ensuring the agent has access to only the specific files, APIs, and systems it absolutely needs to perform its designated task.
That makes sense. Limit their blast radius. What else?
Robust access control, strict and auditable. Human in the loop for critical actions. For any high-risk operations such as modifying a production database or deploying code, requiring explicit approval from a human. Anthropic's new auto mode for cloud code, which flags potentially dangerous actions for human review, is an example of this.
So it's not fire and forget for anything truly risky.
Not yet. Also, immutable audit trails, maintaining a detailed, unchangeable log of every action the agent takes for forensic analysis, and sandboxing and canary deployments, testing new or updated agent behaviors in isolated environments before giving them access to production systems.
The core challenge, it seems, is managing systems that are not deterministic. Two identical prompts given to an LLM-powered agent may not produce the exact same sequence of actions.
That unpredictability is both the source of their power and the risk. The future of agentic AI in the enterprise will depend on our ability to build guardrails that can contain this unpredictability without stifling the agent's usefulness.
So, Cursor's push into autonomous agents is more than just a product launch. It feels like a fundamental paradigm shift. They're even using the term self-driving codebases. What does that mean for the human developer?
It signals a move from AI-assisted development to what could be called AI-managed development. The role of the human developer is poised to undergo a significant transformation. The focus may shift away from the line-by-line act of writing code and move towards a more architectural and supervisory role.
So, developers become the designers of the software factory, defining workflows, setting goals, configuring guardrails for teams of AI agents.
Precisely. Their primary tasks will evolve to include workflow design, becoming experts at prompt engineering and agent guidance, and then review and validation, acting as the final checkpoint, reviewing the code and solutions proposed by AI agents, and making the critical decisions about what gets merged and deployed.
And Cursor is actually living this vision internally, aren't they?
They are. Prior to this public launch, Cursor reported that a remarkable 35% of its own internal pull requests were created by autonomous agents. That statistic, more than any marketing claim, indicates that this is not a far-off speculative future. It is already a reality for teams at the bleeding edge.
That's a huge number. But it's crucial to temper this with realism. Are we truly at self-driving codebases right now?
Not quite. The path will be incremental and fraught with challenges. As we discussed, today's agents still require significant human oversight. They can get stuck, they can do weird things, and their ability to reason about highly complex, novel problems is still limited.
So a gradual increase in scope and autonomy, starting with routine tasks like linting and dependency updates.
Yes, moving to more complex but still constrained problems like writing unit tests and fixing known bug patterns. True open-ended feature development and architectural innovation driven entirely by AI are still likely many years away.
This feels like a gauntlet thrown to the rest of the industry. It escalates the competitive landscape beyond just the in-editor experience of autocomplete and chat.
Absolutely. The new battleground is the entire development lifecycle. GitHub Copilot, with its deep integration into the world's largest code hosting platform, is uniquely positioned to compete, but will need to move quickly beyond its current focus on in-editor assistance. Similarly, Anthropic's powerful Claude models provide a strong foundation, but the company will need to build out the agentic framework and enterprise-ready tooling to match Cursor's offering.
Cursor's Gambit is a bet that the future of coding isn't just about making developers faster, but about building an autonomous workforce that can manage the complexity of modern software development at a scale humans can no longer handle alone.
Whether they succeed or not, they have fundamentally changed the conversation about what an AI coding tool can and should be.
So what are the key takeaways for our listeners? First, the shift is from reactive AI assistants to proactive, always-on autonomous agents. This isn't just about writing code faster. It's about automating the entire development pipeline.
Second, enterprise adoption hinges on security and data privacy. Cursor's self-hosted agents are a direct answer to this, allowing companies to keep proprietary code behind their firewall, which is a major competitive differentiator.
Third, the rogue agent problem is a serious concern. Unintended damage from autonomous AI agents requires a fundamental reevaluation of security paradigms, with strong emphasis on least privilege, human-in-the-loop, and robust audit trails.
And finally, the role of human developers is evolving. We're moving from hands-on coding to becoming architects and supervisors of AI agent workflows, designing, guiding, and validating the output of these increasingly autonomous systems.
Which leaves us with a couple of big questions. How much autonomy are we truly comfortable giving these agents? And what does accountability look like when an AI agent makes a critical error in a production environment? That's all for this episode of Context Window. Join us next time for more on the AI tools shaping how we build software. If you're building with AI, subscribe. We cover what matters.
Ship smarter, not harder.